And will you promise me, upon your honor, that when this freak of yours is over, and the bug business, God, settled to your satisfaction, you will then return home and follow my advice implicitly as that of your physician? Yes, I promise, and now let us be off, for we have no time to lose. With a heavy heart I accompanied my friend. We started about 4 o'clock. Legrand, Jupiter, the dog, and myself. Jupiter had with him the scythe and spades, the whole of which he insisted upon carrying, more through fear, it seemed to me, than of trusting each other in the implements within reach of his master than from any excess of industry or complacence. His demeanor was dogged in the extreme, and "that deuced bug" were the sole words which escaped his lips during the journey. For my own part, I had charge of a couple of dark lanterns, and while Legrand contented himself with the scarabaeus, which he carried attached to the end of a bit of whipcord, twirling it to and fro, with the air of a conjurer as he went. When I observed this last plain evidence of my friend's aberration of mind, I could scarcely refrain from tears. I thought it best, however, to humor his fancy, at least for the present, or until I could adopt some more energetic measures with a chance of success. In the meantime I endeavored, but all in vain, to sound him in regard to the object of the expedition. Having succeeded in inducing me to accompany him, he seemed unwilling to hold conversation upon any topic of minor importance, and all of my questions vouchsafed no other reply than "we shall see." We crossed the creek at the head of the island by means of a skiff, and ascending the high grounds on the shore of the mainland, proceeded in a northwesterly direction, through a tract of country excessively wild and desolate, where no trace of a human footstep was to be seen. Legrand led the way with decision, pausing only for an instant here and there to consult what appeared to be certain landmarks of his own contrivance upon a former occasion. In this manner we had journeyed for about 2 hours, and the sun was just setting when we entered a region infinitely more dreary than any yet seen. It was a species of tableland near the summit of an almost inaccessible hill, densely wooded from base to pinnacle, and interspersed with huge crags that appeared to lie loosely upon the soil, and in many cases were prevented from precipitating themselves into the valleys below, merely by the support of the trees against which they reclined. Deep ravines, in various directions, gave an air of still sterner solemnity to the scene. The natural platform to which we had clambered was thickly overrun with brambles, through which we soon discovered that it would have been impossible to force our way but for the scythe, and Jupiter, by direction of his master, proceeded to clear for us a path to the foot of an enormously tall tulip tree, which stood with 8 or 10 oaks upon the level, and far surpassed them all, and all other trees which I had then ever seen, in the beauty of its foliage and form, in the widespread of its trees, branches, and in the general majesty of its appearance. When we reached this tree, Legrand turned to Jupiter and asked him if he thought he could climb it. The old man seemed a little staggered by the question, and for some moments made no reply. At length he approached the huge trunk, walked slowly around it, and examined it with minute attention. When he had completed his scrutiny, he merely said, "Yes, massa, Jupe climb any tree he ever see in his life." "Then up with you as soon as possible, for it will soon be dark, too dark to see what we are about." "How far must go up, massa?" inquired Jupiter. "Get up the main trunk first, and then I will tell you which way to go. And here, stop! Take this beetle with you." "The bug, Massa Will, the ghoul bug!" cried the negro, drawing back in dismay. "What for must tote the bug wait up the tree?" "Damn if I do." "If you are afraid, Jupe, a great big negro like you, to take hold of a harmless little dead beetle, why, you can carry it up by the string. But if you do not take it up with you in some way, I shall be under the necessity of breaking your head with this shovel." "What's the matter now, massa?" said Jupe, evidently ashamed and no compliance. "Always want to raise fuss with the old nigger. Was only funnin' anyhow. Me feared the bug. What I care for the bug." Here he took cautiously hold of the extreme end of the string, and maintaining the insect as far from his person as circumstances would permit, prepared to climb, to ascend the tree. In youth, the tulip tree, or Liriodendron, tulipiferum, the most magnificent of American foresters, has a trunk peculiarly smooth and often rises to a great height without lateral branches, but in its riper age the bark becomes gnarled and uneven, while many short limbs make their appearance on the stem. Thus the difficulty of ascension, in the present case, lay more in semblance than in reality. Embracing the huge cylinder as closely as possible with his arms and knees, seizing with his hands some projections and resting his naked toes upon others, Jupiter, after one or two narrow escapes from falling, at length reeled himself into the first great fork, and seemed to consider the whole business as virtually accomplished. The risk of the achievement was in fact now over, although the climber was some 60 or 70 feet from the ground. "Which way must go now, Massa Will?" he asked. "Keep up the largest branch, the one on this side," said Legrand. The negro obeyed him promptly and apparently with but little trouble, ascending higher and higher, until no glimpse of its squat figure could be obtained through the dense foliage which enveloped it. Presently his voice was heard in a sort of halloo. "How much further is got to go?" "Forego." "How high up are you?" asked Legrand. "Ever so far," replied the negro. "Can see the sky for the top of the tree." "Never mind the sky, but attend to what I say. Look down the trunk and count the limbs below you on this side. How many limbs have you passed?" "1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I done pass 5 big limb, massa, upon this side." "Then go 1 limb higher." In a few minutes, the voice was heard again, announcing that the seventh limb was attained. "Now, Jupe," cried Legrand, evidently much excited, "I want you to work your way out upon that limb as far as you can. If you see anything strange, let me know." By this time, what little doubt I might have entertained my poor friend's sanity was finally put to rest. I had no alternative but to conclude him stricken with lunacy, and I became seriously anxious about getting him home. While I was pondering upon what was best to be done, Jupiter's voice was again heard. "Most feared for to venture upon this limb very far. 'Tis dead limb pretty much all the way." "Did you say it was a dead limb, Jupiter?" cried Legrand in a quavering voice. "Yes, master, him dead as the doornail. Done up for sartin. Done departed this here life." "Oh, what in the name of heaven shall I do?" asked Legrand, seemingly in the greatest distress. "Do?" said I, glad of an opportunity to interpose a word. "Why, come home and go to bed. Come now, that's a fine fellow. It's getting late, and besides, you remember your promise." "Jupiter," cried he, without heeding me in the least, "do you hear me?" "Yes, Massa Will, hear you ever so plain. Try the wood well, then, with your knife, and see if you think it very rotten." "Him rotten, massa, sure enough." replied the negro in a few moments. "But not so very rotten as mought be. Mought venture out little way upon the limb by myself, that's true." "By yourself? What do you mean?" "Why, I mean the bug. 'Tis berry heavy bug. Suppose I drop him down first, and then the limb won't break with just the weight of one nigger." "You infernal scoundrel!" cried Legrand, apparently much relieved. "What do you mean by telling me such nonsense as that? As sure as you drop down that beetle, I'll break your neck. Look here, Jupiter, do you hear me?" "Yes, massa, no need to holler at poor nigger that style." "Well, now, listen. If you will venture out on the limb as far as you think safe, and not let go of the beetle, I'll make you a present of a silver dollar as soon as you get down." "I'm going, Massa Will." "'Deed I is," replied the negro very promptly. "Must out to the end now." "Out to the end?" here fairly screamed Legrand. Do you say that you are out to the end of that limb?" "Soon be to the end, massa." "Oh, Lord God of mercy, what is this here upon the tree?" "Well," cried Legrand, highly delighted, "what is it?" "Why, 'tain't nothing but a skull. Somebody been left him head up the tree, and the crows done gobble every bit of the meat off." "A skull, you say? Very well. How's it fastened to the limb? What holds it on?" "Sure enough, master. Must look. Why, 'tis very curious circumstance. Upon my word, there's a great big nail in the skull what fastened it up to the tree." "Well now, Jupiter, do exactly as I tell you. Do you hear?" "Yes, massa." "Pay attention, then. Find the left eye of the skull." "Hum, hoo. That's good. Why, they ain't no left eye left at all." "Curse your stupidity. Do you know your right hand from your left?" "Yes, I knows that. Knows all about that. 'Tis my left hand what chops the wood with." "To be sure, you are left-handed, and your left eye is the same side as your left hand. Now, I suppose, if you can find the left eye of your skull, or the place where the left eye has been, have you found it?" Here was a long pause.